Mike Jackson, BASA News. Again, we're in Newark. We go around and try to talk to the people and see who's going to be the next mayor or the next council person. The South Ward, Central Ward, and we're in the West Ward now. Is that correct? Okay. And would you introduce yourself to the people?
My name is Mecca Keyes, and I'm running for the West Ward City Council seat.
Mecca, I've talked to people in this ward.
Yes.
And I'm not too familiar with the West Ward. I'm more familiar with the Central Ward. And a lot of people say that they believe that it is time for change.
Yes.
And can you explain to the audience first, who is Mecca Keyes?
Mecca Keyes is a third-generation Newarker. Mecca Keyes family has built a business here in the West Ward for 15 years. My father had a medical transportation
like
business.
Care or something?
Yes, it was called Senetica.
Okay.
Yes. And my mother is a former Newark Public Schools employee.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so your roots come right here.
My roots come right here. I'm a homeowner. I've been in this home for the past 14 years.
Okay.
And I'm a community advocate. Thank you.
Okay. And what high school did you graduate from?
I graduated from Newark Tech, the real Newark Tech.
The real Newark Tech? On Sussex Avenue?
Oh, well, I'm not that old. No, the 91 West Market Street. So Essex County Vocational is the
okay.
Is the proper term for Newark Tech.
When I was talking about go way back.
Yes, when it was all boys and all girls.
Okay,
yes.
Yes. Okay, wow. Mecca, if someone, because Newark is an up-and-coming city.
Yes.
I don't know how to define it now. How would I say it's just Newark or the new Newark? They haven't come out with any signs yet, But I mean, I remember 5 years ago, you could drive through Newark and get almost to one part of Newark to 78 within about 5 minutes. Now that takes like half an hour.
It takes
it's like everybody is coming here and all night long.
This is the destination.
Yeah, and all night long people are building. I hear the guys in the ground, and I guess girls also, women and men, digging holes and running pipes and running fiber optic, whatever, and things, and new sewers and all kinds of things. If someone wanted to come to Newark and was asking you, how would you describe this city? What would you say?
I would say Newark is a city that is, yes, a destination city, but it has its own personality. It has its own distinct individualism, if you will. Depending on what neighborhood you're in and what ward you're in, we are multi-ethnic, especially here in the West Ward. We are home to our own values and traditions, and I think that spreads throughout each ward. Whether you're in the South Ward, it may be arts and culture. Sure. If you're in the East Ward, it may be dining and the diversity of the Portuguese and other nationalities there. And in the West, which I know best, is the Haitian community and the African nations and the Latino countries that we also have here that have settled.
Okay, and how's that melting pot coming together?
Sorry. That melting pot is actually throughout the ward, so it's in 5 neighborhoods. The West Ward is comprised of 5 neighborhoods, which is Ivy Hill, which is Velsburg, which we are here today. It is the Fairmont Heights area.
I've never heard that one.
Fairmont Heights is actually Fairmont Avenue.
Okay.
Yes, and then there's the West Side Heights over by the West Side Park area.
Okay.
And then there's the Roseville area that many years ago was considered the North Ward, but it's actually comprised of three wards. It's the North, Central, and West. So there's the break off of the borderline of each ward.
Okay. And what about business? If someone was interested in starting a business and coming into Newark?
Coming into Newark, primarily in the West, I would say that we have the potential of making that happen. We have several corridors here. We just passed the West Ward Business Improvement District, and we have settled the funding for the Newark Economic Community Development to start that process. And actually, we are the last ward to have a business improvement district, and it's so distinct because it's actually in 2 phases. No other ward has had that. other than the Bergen Clinton lines, but we are the last to receive a bid from the city, and we are working in that direction to get the corridor, the first corridor of the phase, which is South Orange Avenue to Dover.
I was talking to some older person, a senior, the other day, and she was had a lot of stuff to say about South Orange Avenue in terms that it's not well kept like it should be. That it's paper litter all over and things of that nature. And when you get in office, what would be your plan to get the people moving or get the city moving and cleaning that area?
Well, I know that for many years the South Orange Avenue area has been neglected. It's been neglected by blight and sustainable business owners. One thing I wanted to mention with South Orange Avenue that we just recently have been going through is that the termination of the bus company. They're stopping the 31 bus from Newark Penn Station to Livingston Mall. And that is something that we work together to try to alleviate, because we know that residents, seniors, and students that use that bus line to either get to work at St. Barnabas Hospital or Livingston Mall, or even going to Seton Hall or the ambulatory center where women get their breast examined. So that's a really major piece that is going to be cut off not only from the city of Newark, but it's going through the West Ward. They have proposed that the Coach USA has lost residuals in dollars per year, and that they, under the statute of the state for public necessity, they can terminate the line.
And so what would fill that in if that should happen?
Well, there are discussions with New Jersey Transit, and there are also discussions of possibly a jitney. But going back to your question about South Orange Avenue, revitalizing that,
Yes.
what I would like to do once in office is to also mitigate the transportation and the traffic, because we're noticing that, like you said earlier, that it's taking almost an hour if you're coming from Montrose or Dover to get down to Penn Station, or even downtown Broad Market.
Just getting through Newark
Just
today.
trying to navigate through the traffic. So what I would like to do is a traffic study, and during peak hours, during the morning and the evening, when you see the traffic is shifting, coming up the hill versus going down the hill, and maybe possibly talking about maybe a collaboration of making parking available and taking the parking away from South Orange Avenue, because ideally if you're parked on South Orange Avenue, there's the buses that are coming. You have the 31, you have the 94 that's coming, and it's also creating a traffic jam, if you will. And so those are some of the things and some of the ideas that I do have for that corridor.
Okay. Well, Mecca, people also want to know this right here. Do you come with any political experience? And political experience today does not necessarily mean that you were in office someplace, but have you come from in terms of where you've had to navigate people around, or you're a business owner, or you're, things of that nature?
Well, my record is that I am a community organizer. Okay. I've been in this neighborhood, again, like I said, for the past 14 years. In 2015, actually, I got involved with Unified Vailsbury Service Organization as a volunteer resident to organize blocks, if you will, to start or reestablish neighborhood organizations. Also, what we were doing is actually empowering residents to take action and speak out at city council meetings, and do block watches. So I've been doing pretty much that for quite some time. Interestingly enough, you say that. I'm thinking back when I was in high school, I started a boycott for the donuts. The price of donuts went up, and even though it lasted a day, at least it got the attention. And so it's just it's interesting to see that the work that you've done and the things that you've done in your life is coming full circle in regards to empowering people and telling people you don't have to take this and we can take a stand, because iron does sharpen iron. Sure. And it's going to be something that's going to be done collectively. And so I've had that work. I've had that work in 2013 when there was a resolution that was passed for a young woman that was murdered by her boyfriend in her bedroom. and we adopted a resolution and a task force to combat teen dating violence.
Wow.
And also was able to add to the curriculum that portion of it under health education. So I'm thinking about all the myriad of things that I've been a part of, or if I've initiated. Just for my block alone, we decided that there was too much traffic on this block, and there was a lot of trash, if you will. And so what I did is I contacted the Newark Downtown District, and I wrote them a letter simply on the auspices of children taking back their communities and loving their communities.
Sure.
Because if you can take that trash and put it in a garbage can at South Orange, you can do that on Dover Street.
Yeah, somehow we kind of forget it when we come to our own community.
Right, but also putting back in them the love and the passion, the caring of where you live and how you live. And we've been successful with that. We were donated trash receptacles in 2015.
Okay.
And so
Recently.
So they're 3 years old. They're pretty much 3 years old. But making the children also responsible for changing it, because then when they see that their work is at play and they see someone putting trash down on the ground, they'll take account for, hey, I changed that trash can.
Sure. Can you walk us back, Mecca, to when that moment came that you decided that this year is what I wanted to do? I want to run for city council of the West Ward. What was that like, and when did that come to your mind?
It came to me sometime in maybe late last year.
Okay.
And it was an issue about, there was another issue about a bodega that was pouring hot oil down the sewer system. And we contacted the city, the EPA, that is an extension of it, and we rallied all the elected officials behind it. And something that may be so minuscule to some was really an impact on our environmental here. And I took a look and I took account of all the things that I was responsible for, or initiated, or even was on a committee for.
Sure.
And I believe in good governance, right? And with that belief of good governance means that you have to take action. You have to take a role. You have to take a role and be responsible for that role and be accountable for what the leadership is lacking here, or if it's absent. I believe that understanding finance and the budget of how does this budget play into the services, because naturally a budget is really pretty much of what the values of the community is and what residents want to pay for.
Sure.
So I took all that into account and I decided I'm going to run. I am responsible for this community. I'm responsible for this block. I am obligated to my neighbors. My neighbors are no longer just my neighbors. My neighbors are my family.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's deep. Mecca, when the time comes and you're in office, what would be your first tour of duty? What would be the first thing that you would, because I talk to politicians, they always say they have a notebook of what is going to be their first thing that they would actually go after. What would that be?
My first thing would be quality of life. It would encompass the abandoned properties that we have here. It would encompass the lighting. I've driven around the West Ward and I see that we have low wattage, especially on our 18th Avenue corridor.
Sure.
And that entails public safety also. Those are the things, and having those conversations and creating partnerships with these other entities like public service and working with other municipalities, because the West Ward actually sits on one side, Maplewood and Irvington, and then on the other side there's East Orange. So building those relationships.
And you get confused of whether you're in East Orange, Maplewood, or
well, if you just look at the sign.
You know, sometime you can drift. You know, I didn't know. Because I thought Meade Avenue. I think it's Meade Avenue Street. I thought that was South Orange. I didn't know that was Newark. You know what I mean? So we get a little confused here.
Yes.
This is a little bit different than what we used. I'm used to being in a ward where, like the Central Ward, where you bedded in Newark, the hot.
Right. Yeah, that's the ad hoc. Exactly. Yeah, and that's why it's called Central Ward, because it's the centralized point for the city of Newark. Yeah. Yes, but that's initially my plan once in office, is to have those conversations and really sit down and talk about the quality of life issues here.
You know, a lot of the residents are feeling, they're happy that the city is making this great comeback with the new buildings,
Yes.
and the businesses that's popping up, you know, infrastructure being rebuilt and things. But they're feeling that maybe, you know, somehow that they're going to be shortchanged. What can the city council do to show them some comfort, to show them where the insecurity don't need to run too wild? Because we have a lot of people today that's wondering, are they going to be pushed out of Newark?
In terms of the inclusionary zoning ordinance, making sure that that is fair and equitable housing for all. We are going in the right direction with the 20% of 30 plus units being available and having that offer to them. But we have so much more of our residents that are displaced.
Sure.
We have a growing homeless population all of a
Sure.
sudden, primarily here in the West Ward. So passing affordable housing, for one, as an ordinance. Number two, public safety ordinances and legislation that is going to also be enforced, because you can pass it, but it may not be any oversight to it.
Sure,
So
sure.
you have to make sure that there's oversight also for the ordinances that are already established.
Okay. Now, you were Democrat or Republican?
I am a Democrat.
Okay, I needed to know that right there because, you know.
I am a Democrat, and I am part of the West Ward Democratic Committee. I am a district leader in the 30th district.
Oh, you're district leader?
Yes, I
understand.
am.
My father was a district leader. I often say, when I sit down and talk about the president, I say, you know, it's kind of strange that he got the job and never was even a district leader. That's just my joke. I have nothing to reflect Mecca Keyes. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? You've never been a district leader, now you're president of the United States. You know, is there a book?
Or a dog catcher for that.
Yeah, you know, and stuff, you know. But, okay, well, tell people how to vote for you and what line are you running on. And
Well, that won't be determined until there's another deadline. Once all the petitions is in, I am a declared candidate, so my name will be on the
well,
ballot.
we've seen you on Facebook. That's
Yes.
what we reached out to.
And
You know.
so the deadline for the petitions is not until March the 5th. So after March the 5th, there will be another deadline for the lottery of where you will be on the ballot.
Okay.
So we don't
okay.
know that information quite yet.
Okay. So right now you're still getting signatures and things of that nature, or you beyond that right there?
Actually, beyond that, I'm still going out knocking on doors. I'm going to forums and engagements, coffee clutches that are being
Okay.
hosted by some of the residents for me, and just pretty much coming in contact with each and every resident that I possibly can.
Okay, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm hearing a lot of good things, especially on Pine Grove. You know Pine Grove?
Yes, I do know Pine Grove. I know Pine Grove very well. Actually, last year, Rutgers partnered with UVSO to do a study on the lane between Pine Grove Terrace and Alexander Street. So there's like a full block back there. And historically, that lane was for the horses.
Okay.
There was stables back there. But once, time after time has went on, so this, let's say if this is your backyard, then you still have this lane here. So we were thinking about ways to combat the blight, the trash,
Sure.
the vermins that are back there. And they gave us 3 options actually what we can use with that to optimize that location. And we also considered North Star, using that area for
North Star Charter School.
Yes, North Star
Okay.
Charter School that is actually on Alexander Street.
Okay.
Using that space, and so we also did a study for Pine Grove. Pine Grove is a very long block that has many abandoned properties. They have almost 11 abandoned homes.
One senior said that one of the abandoned homes has been about 20 years.
Yes, they have been screwed with graffiti. I have met residents on Pine Grove that's been there for 40 plus years.
Wow.
But I've also met residents on Pine Grove that's newly to the community that are transplants from Harlem.
Wow.
And so I asked them,
Wow.
why Pine Grove? Why Newark? I'm just thrilled by,
Sure.
welcoming new neighbors. And some of them have said, which is actually going on in other parts of New York City, is that they had no choice but to move
Because of the price over there.
because of being
Yeah.
priced out.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they're buying homes here.
Sure.
I'm glad they're buying homes here. I'm glad that they're being a part of the local taxes here.
Sure.
So I'm very proud of that. But Pine Grove has seen some many drastic changes. But the case study, we hope that we can kind of put a plan into gear. And the people on Pine Grove, they love their homes.
Sure.
Their homes are large homes, and they want to see change. They want to see a transformation of Pine Grove.
Yeah. Well, I think also because of the transformation that's taking place downtown Newark and things of that nature, and the people are starting to, are taking greater interest in their property and things of that nature, and also the Seth Boynton area.
Yes.
Where the train station is supposed to go. So, people, when you have infrastructure, things like that being put together, so, people get a little bit, hey, you know what, I better take a little bit more pride in what I have here because this place is nice.
Right.
And Newark is a nice city.
Newark is a beautiful city.
Yes.
Newark has so many opportunities and potential. For that matter, when we talked about cranes in the sky, there hasn't been a crane in the sky yet in the West Ward. And we had the biggest economic engine here when we had Pabst Brewery.
Yes, I remember that right there. Pabst, yes. Will you guys get anything like that again up this area? Or will they...
I believe so.
Yeah.
In my administration, I am definitely pushing for that economic engine to come back to this ward. This ward is primarily 70,000 plus people.
Wow.
With 5 neighborhoods.
Wow.
So this is a city within a city.
Yes.
And with that city within a city means that dollar is circulating here.
Now, where is you guys downtown? I mean, outside of the downtown, it's in the Central Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have like a downtown shopping area?
Well, that is mainly what we're talking about with the West Ward Business Improvement District, to bring South Orange Avenue as our main corridor.
Okay.
So it's South Orange Avenue, it's 18th Avenue, it's Mount Vernon, and it's Sanford Avenue.
Okay.
So South Orange Avenue from Bergen Street to Dover Street, and then there's 18th Avenue from the borderline of Irvington up to Sanford, and from Sanford from let's say the East Orange borderline all the way over to the Irvington borderline.
Okay.
And Mount Vernon, of course, from Stuyvesant all the way up to approaching the Ivory Hill.
Okay. All right. Well, if someone wanted to reach out to you, how would they do it, and what would
Well, you can reach me on social media.
Social. Just want to have a conversation.
That
say a
always
few
works.
Words,
Social media, my Facebook page is Mecca Keyes for West Ward City Council. You can also email us at keys4council@gmail.com. And we're also on Twitter at #ElectMecca, #ElectMecca. And we're also on Instagram, and that's my Instagram page, Mecca Keyes.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for reaching out.
I really hope that you get in office. I can't wait to that day, because I'm hearing a lot of things about you.
Thank you.
Yeah, people are saying a lot of good things about you. They're also talking about change, and they're looking at you to be that door